Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tips with Dr. Delise Coffey. That's me. I am so glad you have joined me again today. As I shared with you before, I am committed to bringing you information and tips to help you be successful in our first event, which is a free throw-a-thon. Coach Joe Free Throw-a-thon is Extreme and the D. Coffey Foundation for Athletics Education first event. And I say this every time, but I'm just really excited. We are now 6 weeks away. It seems like the closer we get, the more excited I get. And then each guest that we have on, it just brings about different kind of excitement. So if you haven't already, make sure you register at Extreme with an X, Ballers /fun. Let me say that again because I stumbled just a little bit. That's XtremeBallers.com /fun. That's where you can register. And the event is September the 9th through the 17th. We are 6 weeks away. How exciting. And another exciting piece. The person that we have joining us today, he's a sports anchor and a sports content producer. And he's also a former basketball player. So I am so excited to bring him on board because he's from the Bahamas. So let's give Marcellus Hall a warm welcome, and I'm bringing him on stage now. Mr. Hall.
Well, hello, Dr. Delise.
I know. I think that's the first time I ever said Mr. Hall.
I know, right?
Yes. So this is Marcellus Hall, but I know him better as Coach. And we will share with you why I call him Coach towards the end of the segment. But first, we want to get into some tips and some information about who he is and what he's doing, because he's doing some amazing things that can serve us well. So as I share with you, he is a sports anchor and a content producer. But before we start talking about that, Coach, let's go back a ways. Let's go back to those basketball days. Start there and bring us forward to where you are today.
Sure. Okay. So basketball, most I don't do it anymore, but used to be my favorite. It's still my favorite love, sports-wise. I started out playing basketball actually kind of late. I actually started out in the 9th grade, actually. A lot of guys start a lot early nowadays. Everybody's got these specialized programs start as early as elementary school. My dad didn't allow me to play basketball until like my 9th grade year, heading into senior high. My dad finally relented, allowed me to play little hoops and I actually fell in love with the sport. I had always seen people play it. It looked like fun, but my father was a baseball guy and he insisted I play baseball. And so I grew up playing baseball and only could see basketball from a distance. And finally one day I was able to get out there on the court and man, it was love at first sight, love at first play. And from that point on, I was hooked. I started working towards joining a high school basketball team, and was able to finally get on there as a starter in my sophomore and my junior and senior years of school. Was able to join the team as a starter, and I found out that I can actually play this game pretty well. And then I had a little growth spurt. I was like 5'10", going into my last year. And then during the summer, I had all these aches and pains in my knees. And by the time school reopened, I was 6'3". Went from 5'10" to 6'3" before school started. And then by the end of that semester, I was 6'5". And then by the time I graduated, I was 6'6". Now I've been stuck there ever since, but I'll take it. But it was just one of those things. Basketball for me was an outlet, right? It allowed you to, as a team player, allowed you to interact with everybody else. But there's also a lot of opportunities to be an individual. And I liked that, right? It was great because you could work on specialized things that you were good at, whether it's ball handling, whether it's shooting a jump shot, whether it's, dunking, whatever it may be. There were certain things that set you apart as an individual within the framework of a team. And so that to me was outstanding. I couldn't find a better sport to be a part of. In baseball and other sports, it's really all about the team aspect. You can have a horrible day offensively in baseball, and still your team can still win and still do other things. In basketball, everybody's on that floor contributing in some type, way, or form. And I found that to be, something that was challenging for me. And so when I finally got off of school, I actually went on a baseball scholarship, believe it or not. I went off to college at Bakersfield and went on a baseball scholarship and decided, you know what, I don't really want to play baseball. I'm gonna try, I'm gonna try and play some basketball. And so I walked on. They had an opportunity to walk on to the basketball team. And prior to that, though, I put in a ton of work. I found out I had access to the gym, and so I would just go in there and just work for hours. I would put in at least minimum 3 hours of work every day, whether it was shooting free throws, whether it was working on ball handling, shooting jump shots, layup drills, right? And so when it came time around for the trials, the drills and stuff, everybody else was just starting, but I was way ahead of everybody else. So that helped a lot. And then because I've been doing so much work, I found out I was actually head and shoulders above the guys that they had brought in on scholarships as starters. And next thing you know, the coach pulled me on the side and said, listen, I know you're a baseball player, but I think I need you on my basketball team. I'm going to give you a basketball scholarship. And so worked out well for me. And so I was able to jump on board. And my first year freshman ended up being a starter as a walk-on. So, it shows you that basketball, any sport really, if you put the work in, you just have to be dedicated. If you really want it, you got to put the work in, you got to put the time in. And once you do that, it will pay dividends. I use that now in my personal training. I do a lot of personal trainings now. And what I say to people is, if you don't put the work in, how do you expect to see results? And once you see those results, you got to protect it. So you got to keep working in order to protect that progress. And so that's just one of those things that I've found with basketball that has been amazing. I've had an opportunity to play out on the Bahamas national team. I've seen, I've played against a lot of guys. Probably some of you, if you're younger, probably don't even know who these guys are anymore because they're all retired. Larry Johnson and guys like Christian Leitner and Bobby Hurley. I played against those guys both collegiately and in international stuff. This is before they had a lot of NBA players to go. But a lot of those guys end up at the NBA level. And so I've seen every level of competition there is. And really what it boils down to, at even those high levels, yes, there's skill involved, got to have a certain propensity towards the game. But what I find is when you get to that point, everybody's pretty much the same. You got guys that are in the pro level, they're all on the same level. I know you look at guys that they're starters and this one's on the bench, but really what that boils down to is that guy who's starting has maybe a smidgen more talent. But what it is he just decided he was going to put in more work. There's guys in the NBA that are in the NBA, but they don't put in the work. They figure I'm good. I've already accomplished what I've wanted. I'm in the NBA, and I'm content. I'm content to be the 11th guy on the bench. And what sets guys like Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant and all those other guys apart is they said, okay, practice is 2 hours. When practice is over, I'm going to do another hour and a half of work. Or I'm going to do another hour and a half before practice. And I'm going to go home and do some more work. And I'm going to do all those other things that are going to help me be better than the other guy. And so it comes down to drive. Basketball is just one of those sports. If you have the drive and you have the passion for it, if you put in the work, you'll see the results. I'm not guaranteeing that if you put in the work, you'll be in the NBA. That's crazy, right? There's only 230 NBA jobs. But I would guarantee you this: if you put in that work, you will be. Nobody can tell you that they outworked you. That's another one of my models. I'll say this: I say, if I'm on a court, I know for sure at the end of the game, you're not going to say you outworked me. You may be better than me, or you may beat me in the game in terms of wins, loss, and points and all that other stuff, but it won't be because you worked harder than me. So that's always one of the things I look at. And with basketball, that shows up more than anything else. You can tell the guys that are working hard. You can tell the guys that are putting in the effort. You can tell the guys that are going to give the last bit of energy to grab a rebound or make that key pass or whatever it is. Going to dive on the floor for a loose basketball. Going to be able to shoot that free throw in a clutch moment. Those are all things that come through repetition, time and time again, muscle memory, and then through that comes your confidence, and through that comes the ability to get it done when it matters the most. And so that's really what it all comes down to.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, you said a whole lot of good things that our viewers can definitely benefit from. So I'm just going to rehash just a couple of them. But the thing that's most impressive is you are a natural baseball player. Your natural skills were just above everybody else. And you started playing basketball late. You said the 9th grade, but you worked at it. You work extra hard. You work many hours. So what's important for our viewers to understand is that may not be your top talent, but if you work at it, you can make it your top talent. So although he
Yes.
started late, he ended
So
up
true. So true.
starting in college. He was a star player in college. So it's all about putting in the work consistently. That's the key word, consistently. It doesn't matter where you start or what you have access to. It's about motivation and drive and wanting it bad enough to do what you need to do to get it. So that's just, oh man,
Yes.
that was just really huge there, because a lot of people think if they're not already good, they can't get good, or it's no need to even try. And then they see so many people better than them to discourage them. But instead of getting discouraged, get encouraged, and you can do it. I mean, we have a witness here that's giving his story. He did it. So it's not just me saying it, and it's not just you reading about it. You're actually hearing someone right now today saying, hey, I was a star baseball player, but I chose to be a basketball player, and I put in the work and I did it. So that is just awesome. That is just really awesome.
Yes. I'll give you an example real quick, Doc, just before, let me give you one quick example. There's a guy, you may know his name very well because he's currently in the NBA. I coached him at 12 years old. His name was DeAndre Ayton. 12 years old, he was 6'6", clumsy as all heck. Couldn't put his left foot in front of the right foot if you asked him to. And kids were teasing him. The kids in his age were teasing him. Oh, you big clumsy, oh, blah 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 blah. He got discouraged. He wanted to give up, and we kept at him, kept working with him. And if you know his story, he was #1 overall draft pick just about 3 years ago in the NBA. He currently just signed a $133 million contract with his Phoenix Suns. So it just goes to show you, not giving up, not giving up, not giving up. So there it is.
That's right. Don't give up no matter what. That is awesome. That's awesome. Now, another thing I know about you, Coach, is you are a sport parent.
Yes.
You have 2 athlete children. So tell us about how you keep them encouraged to play their sport. First, tell us what they're participating in and how you keep them encouraged to do the best that they can do.
All right, so yeah, my daughter Marcellus, she's 12. She's a track athlete, very gifted, if I say so myself. Actually, no, I get that from actually her coaches. One of whom was Bahamas Olympic coach, and he told me the first time she was at practice that this kid has got the chops to do something. So I kept her in it, and she's been doing extremely well. The other is my son Brandon, who's 17 years old. He plays basketball and baseball. He's actually better at baseball than basketball, but I don't tell him that. But with the funny thing about being a parent and a coach, because I coach as well, is it's a thin line, right? Because you want to be hard, but at the same time you're a parent, and so it's like you got to try to get that balance so you don't discourage him. Because that happened with me with my father. He was a former professional baseball player. He pushed me so hard in baseball that I just kind of lost the love for it, and I didn't want to play anymore because it was like it became associated with something I didn't like anymore. Now since then I do have reacquired that love for baseball, but initially it was like, oh God, I don't want to do this. So it became more of a chore. So I'll say this: if you're a parent and you have a kid that's in the sport, keep it fun, right? That's the most important thing. Yes, they're going to have to work if they want to be good, but try to find a way to still make it fun. Because once that fun leaves them at an early age, it's near impossible to get it back. So you got to find ways to encourage them by keeping it, I always say, upbeat and fun. Put the work in, but find ways to make it fun. Make it a game, make it a challenge type thing where they're still enjoying it, especially at the young ages, in those formative ages. When they become teenagers, 14, 15, 16, then it becomes, they can understand a little bit better. But younger on, when they're younger, in that 9, 10, 11, 12, just preteens, it's important for it to be fun for them. And be encouraging, be supportive. I try this. Very seldom do I miss one of my daughter's track meets or one of my son's basketball games. I find a way. I know sometimes life gets in the way, you get busy, but find a way to at least attend every once in a while. It makes all the difference. When I was growing up, my dad never attended a single game I went to, and I remember that to this day. That's something I remember. Right? It's like, wow, and so I think I could have gone a lot further had I had that extra support. I'm not saying that you should be babying them or whatever. That's different. What I'm saying is that support, because kids do a lot of things for their parents. I won't say adoration, but certainly for your commitment and certainly for that level of appreciation. And once they see that, it inspires them to keep going. Oh, I know they sometimes you want, oh, daddy, or oh, mommy, because that's just not cool. You don't want to act as if you enjoy it. But I tell you, it means the world. It means the world. I can tell you the first time my mom showed up at a basketball game I was playing in, I was like, whoa, oh my God, my mom's here. And so that inspired me to play at my highest level, right? And from that point on, I know she never came to another one, but the point is there was always a chance that she might. And so I worked so much harder because I want her approval. I wanted her to say, good job, son, good job. And so it's really important to be supportive of your children, especially if you find they have a passion for something. Find time. You find time for everything else. It's the same thing with getting yourselves in shape and all this. There's always an excuse. There's always a reason why I can't, but there's also a reason why you can. And it's important to your children. It's important as a parent to be there for them, not just put food on the table and pay the bills. They need that emotional support. And that's one of those things that I find that works for my kids. And they're inspired then to keep going and to get better at stuff. They'll come to me and ask me for advice, and they wouldn't do that if I wouldn't support them. If I said, get the heck out of here, man, I don't have time for this, then it would be a totally different situation. But sometimes I don't have the answers, but I can direct them the way they are. I'll go study on it and try to find out something. But always be there for them. That's your job as a parent. You brought them in here. You gotta make sure you're there and then for all aspects. So that's what I would say as a parent. And you have kids that are interested in sports. Find a way to be supportive in every which way you can, because you never know where it can lead. You never know where it can lead.
Yeah, that's awesome. And these Tuesday tips, it's not just for the athletes, it's not just for the kids, it's for the parents too, because the kids will be successful if the parents are what? Supportive, just like Coach said. And finding a way to do that is just huge. And just like I say, life gets in the way sometime, but it should not get in the way most of the time. Most of the time, you should definitely be there supporting your kids and keeping it fun. Statistics show that kids drop out at a young age because it's not fun. So we want to make sure that we're supporting them, encouraging them, but finding that balance where it's serving him or her well, and doing what they need to do. So that is just super awesome. And then, Coach, you're doing some other amazing things. Share with us what you did last month.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I decided, against my better judgment, I decided to jump into a fitness contest. I was in a men's physique bodybuilding contest just on the 16th of this month. Was it July? Yeah. So I had to, as a matter of fact, I'm at the gym right now doing some training, but I decided that I wanted to take it on. I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 in just a few days, about 2 weeks time now. I'll be 54. And somebody challenged me. He said, listen, you're 50 plus now. I bet you can't get yourself in shape for this competition. Mind you, it was like 6 weeks out. And I was like, I bet I can. And so I challenged myself to do it. It was tough. Had to do a lot of different things, some sacrificing, some dieting and all the other stuff. But at the end of the day, and then to top it off, they told me I would be in a master's competition. It would be masters, people of my own age. I get in there, I find out I'm the only one crazy enough at 50 plus to do it. And so I'm in this thing by myself. So they said, you got to go on the stage with these guys that are 30 years your junior. Everybody in the thing was 20 plus, like 20s. And I think one guy was 30. So I'm on the stage with all these young whippersnappers. And but I found again, I actually held my own. I challenged them. I did challenge them. I ended up winning the masters category, in a category of one, but I'll take it. And I finished 4th overall in the open category. So I beat out 5 other guys that were 30 years my junior. And so I felt pretty good about that, man. And it just goes to show you that the age is not a limiting factor, right? It's just, again, goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's desire and the passion and the capacity to do it, right? It's just putting in the work. And once I made up my mind to do that, I said, you know what? Come with me. I'm gonna get this done. And so that's what it boiled down to. So I'm proud of myself. I'm still here. I said, the hardest thing to do is start. So I figure if I don't stop, then I don't have to restart. So I keep training.
Exactly. And I must say, you look amazing. Of course, I'm
Thank
saying
you.
it's
Thank you
professional,
very
you
much.
all.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Yes. And as you know, most of my viewers are probably athletes and sports parents and people that are in school or trying to figure out their career. So share with us what it takes to be a sports anchor and a sports content producer.
Okay, so actually, I started out in this business. I did do communications in university, but I honestly didn't think I'd be doing it for a living. I was so sure I was going to be a professional athlete. I made it all the way to minor league baseball as a pitcher with the Cardinals organization. I had an arm injury, so I wasn't able to pitch anymore. And then I started concentrating on basketball and had a contract to go to Yugoslavia, play European basketball, hurt my knee. So so I said, you know what, maybe I should just talk about this stuff. So I actually walked into a radio station here at the time that had just opened its doors. They were looking for, I was thinking I was just going to be somebody to play some music, like a disc jockey. And they said, we don't have an opening for a disc jockey, but we have an opening for a sportscaster if you want to audition. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. Did the audition and they loved it. And they said, well, can you start tomorrow? And I said, okay. So 27 years later, I'm still going, still doing this thing. I've had the opportunity to since then travel to, let's see, 5 Olympics. I've done 5 Olympic Games, starting with the 2000 Games in Sydney, Australia. I just got back from Tokyo, the Olympic Games in Tokyo. I've done London and Brazil, some other places. But World Championships, you name it, I've been able to go to those, the All-Star Basketball Games. We've had some Bahamians there. So wherever there's Bahamian athletes, I get an opportunity to travel. So it's been a very fruitful endeavor. I love it. If sports is your jam and you want to stay within the industry and maybe not necessarily can't play the game at that level and maybe not interested in coaching, hey, if you can get into this aspect of it, the media aspect of it, it's a great field, very rewarding. Again, I don't feel like I work a day in my life. Honestly, I really don't, because this is something I would do anyway. I would go to a basketball game. I would go to a baseball game. I would go to a track and field event anyway. Just for fun. And so somebody said they'll pay me to do that. Okay, good. So, so again, it's like any other job. It does require work, but again, if sports is your passion, you don't really notice it. I don't mind reading up on certain things, on a particular sport or athlete, because it's a passion for me. It's something I enjoy doing anyway. And so they always say, find something you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. I've been blessed to being able to do just that. And so I encourage you, again, like I said, there is work involved. Obviously, you gotta learn stuff, right? For myself, I do a lot of live broadcasts, and I'm not stuck to doing one particular sport because I have to do it all. I do, whether it's basketball, cricket, whatever it may be. So that means I got to learn the sports, right? I got to learn the terminology. I got to learn the athletes. And so there is that aspect of it. But again, when it boils right down to it, I enjoy it. So I don't feel like I'm being overwhelmed by it. I love it. And I encourage anybody that's interested in that field to embrace it and get on in there, because trust me, like I said, if you have a passion for sports, you will enjoy it to the fullest. You will go on to have a great career.
Awesome, awesome. So if that's an area that any of you are interested in, DM me, and I'll make sure that Coach Marcellus get the information, and then we'll kind of feed you whatever information you may need.
More than happy, yes.
Yeah. Or if you have any questions about anything, just feel free to email me, and he will get it, and he will respond. So another thing that is super important.
I certainly will.
Yes, and thank you very much for doing that for us. One of the things that's really important for athletes is to have confidence in what they're doing. And whether it's baseball, basketball, track, bodybuilding, fitness, anything, you have to build your confidence. And then once you build your confidence, you have to have things in place to maintain that confidence to keep you pushing. So Coach, share with us some of the things that you did to build your confidence, if you had to build it, or to maintain your confidence as you were on your sport journey.
Wow, probably more than anybody else. I'll tell you guys may not believe this, but I was so shy growing up. Really, up until I started in this business, really, I was intensely shy. Had a difficult time talking to people face to face. Always put my eyes down, and that's one of the things I teach people now is making eye contact, feeling as if you're on equal terms with anybody. There's a difference between being arrogant and being confident. If you're confident, you can look somebody in the eye without being arrogant, and it tells a lot about you, right? And for me, I had to learn that. I had to learn that within myself. And confidence comes from the ability or knowing that you've put in that work, right? So if I know I've done this 1,000 times, right? If I know that I've shot 1,000 free throws, or I've made 1,000 jump shots, or I'm just sticking with basketball right now, or anything, any particular sport or endeavor. If I know as a sportscaster that I know that I've studied that roster and I know who's the top player and all that stuff, when it comes time for me to speak on it, I have the confidence that I can say that without fear of anybody telling me I'm wrong, right? And don't be afraid to make mistakes, because everybody, I don't care who you are, is going to make mistakes. Professional baseball players make mistakes. That's why on the scoreboard it says hits, runs, errors. Those guys, professional players, but they make errors, right? They make mistakes. But the key thing is you got to be able to understand that I've put that work in, so I know that's not something I'm going to keep doing, right? I made that one mistake. The likelihood is I'll make 9, 10, 20 plays before I make another mistake. But it all comes down to understanding that, and that's going to give you the confidence to keep you being able to go forward and do what you have to do. So confidence comes from self-assuredness and the ability of knowing that you know what you know, right? And that is how it works for me, right? I know what I know, right? That sounds crazy, but it's so true, right? I know that I've read up on this. I know that I have the ability or the knowledge because I've done it so many times. And so I don't feel at any given time that if somebody asks me a question, it actually just happened on my vacation. A guy just started asking me questions about Bahamas sports, and he was on Google looking at stuff, and I would answer, and he said, "Oh, that's right." I said, "Yeah, I know." So really, what it is I've studied this so long, and I put in that work that I feel confident that if somebody asks me something, I may not get it right, but I'm going to be pretty close. And I'm sure that if I don't know it, I'm going to go back and learn it. So if somebody asks me that question again, I'm going to be able to give them the right answer. So confidence, again, comes from understanding that you've put the work in, the time in anything, whether it's sports, whether it's your job. And that's where once you find that when you do something enough times that you're able to, it becomes muscle memory. It becomes muscle memory. In some cases, it becomes mental memory, right? So that works as well. The muscle memory works with the brain as well. So if you read up on it, you study enough information, it just comes automatically. I can now do a live broadcast sometimes, and I don't encourage you to do this until, but sometimes I'll do live broadcasts, and I have no idea what I'm going to say until they say you're on. But it's because I've done it so many times that I can do that, right? And that just comes from overtime experience and again studying and knowing my craft. But that can be anybody, from the smallest to the largest. It doesn't matter, right? If you're a beginner to a professional, it all begins. Everybody starts somewhere, and if you start at the right spot and just keep working and keep working and keep working, you're going to build and build and build and build and build until you're at a point where you're just automatic. And that doesn't mean you stop working. To this day, I've been doing it 27 years. I still study. I still try to learn new ways, new different techniques to try to stay ahead of the game, because when you stop learning, you start going backwards. So that's the key thing. Always continue to try to get better at whatever it is you're doing. Don't ever think you've arrived at the pinnacle, because that pinnacle is always moving. It's always going up. It's always going up. So always think of it that way.
Awesome. As we come to the end of Tuesday Tips, I have two more things that I want to ask Coach. And as you all know, that I'm really high on building confidence and helping athletes focus, because there's about 15 mental skills that I teach. But if I can get them to master confidence and focus, the rest of them are pretty easy to manage or to teach them. Not easy, but that's kind of the foundation, the confidence and the focus, because if you have that, you can go a little bit faster towards your goals. So, Coach, how would you share with our audience, or what would you tell our audience to help them focus like a champion?
Wow. Okay. So focus for me has also been a problem, right? I get distracted really easy, or at least I used to. But what I find is you gotta look at what, and you gotta be task oriented. Like, and I know that's not an easy thing, right? Because there's so many, especially nowadays, there's so many distractions. But what I find works for me is I put aside, if I know I have a particular chore or task to do, I'll make it I'll put it as a part of my calendar, right? Like for instance, here we're like working out at the gym, right? People always say, I don't have the time to go to the gym. Well, you have time to do everything else in your calendar except take care of your health. So what I do is I make it a part of my daily calendar, right? I earmark 45 minutes to an hour, and I set that up as a meeting, and it's like it's written in stone, right? And in that hour, I know that I'm not taking call unless it's emergency, because something happens. Sometimes things happen, right? So what I'll do is, like right now I'm doing like another certification course. So what I do is I know I get caught up. I get home, I'll do this, and I'll do everything except what I'm doing studying. So what I'll do is I'll put it in my calendar, and I set that time for 40 minutes. And without fail, I got to do 40 minutes of studying, and I don't let anything get in the way of that. So make it a part of your calendar if you can. I know a lot of people don't keep calendars, but if you don't, then find a way to do that, right? And I had to learn this from my wife, by the way, because I was notoriously bad at this. I would just kind of hope I would remember it by memory, and then I'd always forget. She said, "No, you got to make a calendar." And so I found that helped, right? I found that once I did that, I became so much more efficient, and I was able to keep track of the things I needed to do. And so that helped with my focus. And once I was able to have that in there, it allowed me to narrow in on the things that I needed to do, and be able to push forward. Okay, Kenny, and be able to do the things that were needed, and just kind of. And if you find like you're a person that needs quiet, then find a quiet spot. Like some people can't study with noise around you, right? There's got to be somewhere where you can go where it's quiet for 40 minutes or 45 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it is, the time that you're able to allot, and just set that time away. Like these are noise canceling headphones, right? I'll put these on. I can't hear anything outside of this, and so I'll go and I'll study, and if I got to turn on some soft music in the background, because that works for me, right? I got to have a little music in the background. It helps me to focus. Find a thing that helps you to focus through whatever it is that you and to do whatever it is you need to do, and just again allot the time. Put time aside and stick to it. And once you stick to it, then you'll be able to get the job done. And once you establish a rhythm doing that, then it becomes easier as time goes along. It's so much easier for me now because I made a commitment to it, and then I established a rhythm, and now I do it almost automatically. And so that helps me. And I don't know and everybody has a little different trigger. Everything's different for everybody else, but I find that helps me. I make a calendar effort, and then I stick to it. And then I find a rhythm. I make it the same time every day if I can. And so once you do that, it becomes so much easier to get it done.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Now, many of you know that Extreme and the D. Coffey Foundation for Athletics and Education, we're having our first event, which is a free throw-a-thon. And for those of you that have not heard, it's going to be September the 9th through the 17th. And that's one of the big reasons why we have these Tuesday tips, because I want everyone to be successful in the free throw-a-thon. And then just outside of that, after the free throw-a-thon is over with, the information that you get here on Tuesday tips, you can use it after the event, and you can use it in sport and life. So I'm setting you up to win on all levels. So Coach, as we close out, share with our viewers some tips that they can use to be successful in the free throw-a-thon.
Wow, free throws, just like anything else, right? Muscle memory. I was an 80% free throw shooter in college, and that just came. Here's what I would do to help me to get better at shooting free throw, right? It's accountability, right? Self accountability, because I work out a lot of times by myself. So I would go to the free throw line, and I would take 10 free throws, and my goal was make 8 or whatever. I set a goal. I got to make at least 7 up to 10, and whatever I fell short of, if I made 5. That meant I had to run 5 suicides. And again, it's accountability, right? I'd make myself run 5 suicides, come back, do it again. And then when I got that 7, then I would go, okay, now I got to make 8. And if I made 8 and missed 2, then I would run 2 suicides. And so it was that type of thing. And so it came down to muscle memory, because I got tired of running, right? So I said, I don't want to run. So I found that I got a lot better at shooting free throws, just because again, I had that self-accountability punishment in there. And again, just memory, just doing it over and over and over again. And I would listen to what guys said, guys that were great free throw shooters in the league. And I said, what do you do? And they said, well, it's all about doing the same thing every single time you come to the line. And then it just becomes automatic. Muscle memory, muscle memory, muscle memory. And so it's all about repetition. You can't shoot 10 free throws and go home and think you're gonna come to a free throw shooting contest and make 10 free throws or make even 5 free throws, unless you're just really lucky that day. It doesn't work that way, right? You see guys that go to free throw line in the NBA. Steph Curry, for instance, he's a 90% free throw shooter. He doesn't just show up to the game and shoot and shoot that way. He makes 100 free throws or whatever it is per day. He goes and he probably sets the same thing I do. I got to make this amount before I can move on. And so once you continue to do that, time and time and time again, it becomes automatic, just like anything else. Work makes results, and so you gotta put that extra work in. So you got time until this free throw marathon. So you start working on it. Keep shooting your free throws. Today I'm gonna make 20. I'm gonna shoot at least 50 free throws, and I got to make 35. I got to make, and every day as you get to that 35, it becomes easy. Okay, tomorrow I now go from 35 to 40, and then I try to make as many as you can. And you'll find that then when time comes for this, it's going to be automatic. It's going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy. That's what I like to say. So just work on it, guys. Muscle memory and repetition. Repetition is what counts. You got to put in the extra work before you get into the contest if you want to see good results.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. And you all remember, if you have any questions, send them to me and I'll make sure Coach get it. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience, so take advantage of this opportunity. Once again, thank you, Coach, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. No problem. See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you all for showing up for Tuesday Tips with Dr. Coffey. And remember that we're only 6 weeks away from our competition, and it's September the 9th through the 17th. And you can register at XtremeBallers, that's extreme with the X, XtremeBallers.com /fun. So I hope to see all of you there. And I look forward to next week on Tuesday Tips. Take good care now. Bye for now.